2 years ago, Myanmar's military took power in a coup, justifying the takeover by alleging that the 2020 election in the country was a fraud. Now, that's when Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy won by a landslide. The hundreds of people who took to the streets in a protest were met with a violent military response. Now, 2 years into the coup, the fight for justice and democracy still remains unfinished business. Today, we discuss the issue more with Ms. Wei Wei Niu. She's the founder of Women Peace Network. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Please do update us on the latest situation in Myanmar. How are people fighting for democracy holding up? I mean, what is the sentiment there now?
Thank you. The pro-democracy movement remain resilient and strong despite the exacerbating human rights and humanitarian catastrophe. The military has actually killed over 3,000 people, arbitrarily arrested and detained over 17,000 people, and launched airstrikes and sort of campaign and use heavy weapons, etc. And that actually forced displacement of hundreds of thousands of people, including 1.5 million internally displaced persons. And at the same time, the Rohingya are at risk, at increased risk of genocide, and with the military's issuance of restrictions, arbitrary arrest, detentions of over 2,700 Rohingya, including over 800 women only in 2022. And despite of all of these challenges, the pro-democracy movement as a whole, institutions involved, the bodies involved, the National Unity Government, National Unity Consultative Council, and strike committees, protest leaders from the nonviolence protest to the armed resistance movement remain resilient and strong.
Right. It's really heartbreaking to hear about reports on violence from prisons too, but I'm glad that people are holding up. And there have been also comments, unfortunately, that the military is likely to hold on to the power for a prolonged period of time. Is that so? I mean, what moves are the military taking now?
In fact, the pro-democracy movement this time is stronger than any other time in the history. So we do not believe that the military will prolong, despite, in fact, it also shows that in one of the meetings last month, a leaked document shows that how they are fragile and how they are actually extremely concerned about the pro-democracy movement as a whole, as well as it is the fact that the military does not have a control over the entire country. And given the all other aspect of the pro-democracy movement and people dedications, we do not think that the military can prolong at this level, but definitely we need a lot more support from the international community not to make it happen, not letting the military to prolong seizure of their power. As we know, the military is trying very hard to legitimize their illegal coup by engaging with a country like Russia or other neighboring countries, as well as UN entities and INGOs, UN entities, as well as also trying to trying to create these sham elections. They are trying very, very hard at this point to get some level of legitimacy so that they can remain in control. But the truth is that the military is not in control of the country, and military's power is shaken because of the people dedication, commitment, and resistance. What is the most inspiring thing right now happening is that the young people, the younger generations are a lot of the younger generation youth have a noble visions of a truly democratic federal future of the country. Unlike any other situations, now people are united. They cannot be divided by the military, and therefore military is extremely worried of the controlling the country. And so, we have faith. I think we need more support from the international community for us to achieve that, to succeed this revolution.
Yeah, I am glad to hear that people from different age backgrounds are involved in this democratic movement. Now, speaking of international support from the international community, what do you think is needed the most to fight against those who have rejected democracy? Is more support necessary? On what level? Tougher actions? I mean, what should be done now?
I think oftentimes the country like us, Myanmar, have been not on the front page of a lot of the international media and organizations. It's often overlooked while the world has other priorities. So what we think is our people are suffering from this human rights and humanitarian catastrophe. The military is committing war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. So for us to be able to overcome from this such a catastrophic situation, such a man-made disaster, and to defeat the military dictatorship, we really need a more comprehensive and robust rigorous support from the international community. That includes cutting the military's revenue by sanctioning military's businesses, military's oil and gas, and all of the related businesses and military individual. At the same time, banning the militaries from access to the weapons that the military is using to using against the civilians through the airstrikes and other means. So we need to put on the global arms embargo on the country so the military cannot have access to this. One of the great examples is that today some countries like UK and Canada actually ban aviation fuel for the military to have access so that they cannot use airstrikes anymore. And this is a great example that other countries can also do. At the same time, the military should be isolated. No country should engage with the genocidal military. So we are asking the international community to cut the diplomatic ties with the military and engage with the national unity government over the military. So these are three things, fundamental things that they can do. On the other hand, given the history of the genocide and crimes against humanity that military committed, we believe that only ending impunity will pave the way for a truly sustainable democratic future. Without holding the perpetrators of these heinous international crimes accountable, we cannot move forward as a country. We need the international community to support the international justice processes to be able to hold the military accountable.
Sure. Civic groups.
And to the people of South Korea, we are inspired by your struggle for democracy, and we need your help in making ours reality. So contact your local representative to implement the measures that I described, and especially to your government to further its engagement with the democratic forces over the military junta, at the same time to implement sanctions against the companies that engage with the junta, including POSCO and Lotte.
Right. Democracy surely is a core value of South Korea. Thanks for mentioning that. And also, civic groups in South Korea, Myanmar civic groups in South Korea are also holding a press conference today in commemoration of this 2-year, anniversary of the military coups. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.